Good to see you, Representative Nate Bell from Arkansas. My name is Nick Duranius. I'm with Compact for America Educational Foundation, and this is a series of podcasts for the Institute for Humane Studies at George Mason University. Representative Bell, tell us a little bit about yourself. How did you get into the whole federal balanced budget amendment effort?
Well, Nick, for a number of years, I felt like that the most important issue facing America was the out-of-control national debt, and that it was imperative that we get something done to bring some sanity and some stability back to the fiscal future of this country. And, for a number of years, I, like many Americans, thought that we could get that done through Congress and through creating some change in D.C. It's become obvious over the last couple of decades that the only real change is going to come from the states.
Now, some folks would say, what business do the states have even trying to decide for the federal government what a balanced budget amendment for the federal government should look like? Well, why would you say the states should have a voice in the development of a federal balanced budget amendment?
Well, very simply, we have a country that is a federation of states, and as such, we have the responsibility, ultimately, when the bills come due, we're going to be the ones that are paying them. Beyond that, as a state legislator, much of the money that is now spent by states is federal turnback, and state budgets are critically dependent upon federal funds. While as a limited government guy, I wish that weren't so, it is so. And all of us as taxpayers, as citizens of the United States, and particularly those of us in state legislatures, have a vested interest in ensuring the fiscal stability of the country.
So you mentioned the compact being something that you were interested in, the compact for a balanced budget. Could you just explain what the compact for a balanced budget is?
Well, in a nutshell, it's the states agreeing between themselves as to what a balanced budget amendment would look like, what the terms of the use of Article 5 would be, and then simultaneously making a call and simultaneously agreeing on all of the process all the way through ratification.
So you found that there's both cross-partisan support and cross-partisan opposition. What brings the different parties together to support the compact for a balanced budget?
Well, here in Arkansas, what I found is a lot of the folks, what I call the principled left, understand that the debt is a threat to all government programs. Many of us have a divide over what the prioritization of those programs should be, but in the case of the principled left, they understand that if we don't get some control over the exponentially explosive federal debt, that we're gonna be in a situation where there's not going to be the availability of funds to run any of those programs.
Why do you support the compact for a balanced budget as opposed to other Article 5 approaches, Convention of States, the old Reagan era balanced budget amendment efforts? What puts your resources behind the compact particularly?
Well, Nick, that's the easiest question you've asked me today, and plainly and simply, it's because I want to get it done. The compact has the ability to reach into those purple and blue states. It has enough across the aisle appeal to actually pass in some of those states. And I'm a bright red conservative, but so do I support Convention of States? Absolutely. But at the end of the day, I believe that it doesn't have the ability to get beyond the mid-20s in approval with the states because it is so conservative that such a conservative approach that it simply can't get to the point that it could get to a call or ratification.
What do you think of the states starting to get more comfortable with amending the federal Constitution? Is that a good thing?
I think it's more of at least from the folks that I've visited with, it's more of a understanding of the desperation of the situation that we're all in. We're on a runaway train that's headed for a cliff, and we simply have to get this under control, or we're going to perish together.
Representative Bell, there's a tax limit in the Compact for Balanced Budgets amendment, in addition to the debt limit. Why do you think having taxes limited in some ways is relevant to the debt limit?
Well, I think it forces some sensibility into the equation. You can't allow someone to go out and take someone else's money to meet an obligation. If you do, at some point they stop allowing you to do that. And when you do that, then those obligations are no longer met. And in this situation, if Congress could just continue to raise taxes every time they wanted to spend more money, you eventually wind up in a non-sustainable situation, as many economists have demonstrated over the last multitude of years.
Is there any issue in public policy that the states can tackle that is more important than limiting the federal government's debt?
I don't believe so, because ultimately everything in politics is about the dollar. And, I've visited with a number of folks who have a variety of concerns. You'll hear people talk about, oh, well, term limits is more important, or this issue or that issue. And they all ultimately come down to government overreach, whether it's regulation, whatever the issue is. And as somebody who's consistently fought regulation and fought all those other things and really struggled to try to get more efficient, effective government, one of the things that I realize is the fastest and simplest way to do that is to take away the credit card. The power to go out and spend without consequence allows government to reach into a lot of areas where it shouldn't be. And if that power becomes limited and some of the control of that is restored to the states, many of the problems that we're dealing with government overreach are simply solved.